There are 6 steps total. Okay. But what we're going to do today is that we will look at standard deviation, but the last class we talked about population. For today, we're going to look at sample standard deviation instead. So remember when we first started this class, we have 2 groups. Either we talk about population, which is the entire group, or we talk about sample, which is just part of the group. So when we find the standard deviation, we're going to find standard deviation of the population, or we're going to find it for the sample. So we have to do both, okay? What we're going to do today is going to be pretty much similar to what you did with the population. So for those was I missed one, can you review a little bit more? Yes, for sure. Because when I'm doing this one with the sample standard deviation, all the step is just the same. We still have 6 steps, but there's only a couple things different, but it's not much of different. But the step, if you remember the step, is going to be the same. So you're gonna have like another like 2 new symbol when we talk about sample standard deviation, okay? And then on next week on Tuesday, we're gonna review. We probably review Tuesday, and we're gonna have the summative. I think is sometime next week. Okay, so we will have our second summative next week. Okay, so let's look over here, the sample, the mean. The notation is X with the bar on the top. Remember, for the population, the symbol would be mu. This is the population mean. Okay, they both say, and this is the mean, this is the average, but we use different notation to indicate this one is a population and this one is the same, is the sample. But step number 1, you still find the mean. You still do the same thing, nothing different. Okay. For step 2, we're going to still find the deviation, which is the same. We're not changing it. You still take X minus the average, but now I'm using a different notation, that's all, because now I'm talking about the sample. And then step 3, you still have to square it, raised to the second power. Step 4, same thing. We find the sum, we add all of them together. The only thing different, the new part is that right here. When we divide, instead of divide by n, we divide by n minus 1 for this. So that's the big difference. Why we minus 1? I honestly don't have a good explanation for it. Okay? But this is the difference. Okay? So instead of divide by n, we divide by n minus 1. And the n is the total of numbers that are given to you. Okay. Question for me so far. I'm going to pause, and I will turn this to student pace toward the end when we do practice, so that way you can go back and take notes if you wanted to. Questions? The last step is still, you should still find the square root. So nothing changed. You will take the square root. However, look at this notation right here. Okay, the S stands for sample standard deviation. It's the letter S. But for the population, standard deviation is this sigma notation. So like the O. So this is population standard deviation. So that's the difference. So we have a couple of things different, but the steps, the order is going to be the same. I'm doing exactly the same thing that I've been doing. Nothing changed. Okay. All right, I'll give you a moment to copy this down and let me know if you are ready to move to look at the example. All right. So let's look at the example that I have. Okay. If I look over here, it's still a list of numbers that's given to you. Okay. I have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first thing I would do is that I know my n is 6. I know I have 6 numbers. Okay. Step number 1 over here on the bottom is how you find x with a bar on the top. That means find the average. Okay. So that is to find the average. So to find the average, what I would do, I'm adding all of these numbers. The same thing I would do previously, average mean, I add all of them up, and then I would divide by 6, because I have 6 of those. Okay, so I will divide, and let's see what I got. So 50 plus 55 plus 50 again, plus 60, plus 54, plus 56. That would give me the total is 325 and divide by 6. So it's give me, 51 point. I want 2 decimal places. That would give me, I would round to 17. Okay. So I add all of them and then I divide by the total. So if you have question about how to find the average, let me know. Question for me on step number 1. All right, Jaden, there's a link for you in the chat so that you can join Paradox. Okay. Now, this is step 1. When I go to step 2, what do I do for step 2? Anyone remember? Can you share with us? What do I do for step 2 now? Once I found the average. I've done the average. Step 1 is the average. X minus. Good. So 50 minus 51.17. Yes. So I'm doing the same thing, even though this one, the notation is look different a little bit, and this one is the sample population, but we are doing the same thing. We're not changing any steps. Nothing changed. So this would give me negative 1.17. Okay, negative 1.17. What I would do is that I'm going to do step 2 and step 3 at the same time. So when I subtract, I got negative 1.17. I will square it. So when I square it, this would give me 1.37. So I will do step 2 and step 3 together. I'm going to ask you, if you have a calculator, I'm going to ask you to follow along, to use your calculator and do it, because it's important when you raise the negative numbers to the second power, you may make a mistake. You want to see how I round my number. So I'm going to ask you, if you have it, use it. Follow along instead of like, okay, Miss Wynn said it, it should be correct. No, I will make mistake. I do that all the time. Okay. So check in with me, like, okay, how you round to 17, how you round down. That way it would be better for you when you do the practice on your own. So for the 1.37, I take the difference, this one, this number right here, I will raise this as second power, I swear it. Okay. So I will, same thing for step 3, you see this step 3, you square the difference. So one, I took 50 minus 51.17, gave me negative 1.17. I square that number, which gave me 1.37. I mean, it's gave me 1.3689, but I round it to 2 decimal place. Okay. All right, I'm going to do the next number. I'm going to write over here so that I have enough space. 55 minus 51.17 gave me 3.83. So what I do with that one is 3.83 square give me 14 point. I would round it to 67. So I would do step 2 and 3 at the same time, just so that I don't have to retype the values. This is minus, okay? And then I will continue with this one. I'll finish up the rest. Now, the third number is 50, which is the same thing as the top. So I don't have to rewrite that one. I know it's going to be 137, okay? So I can just copy that down. So 60 minus 51.17. Let's see what that's going to get me. Whoops. 60 minus 51.17 give me 8.83. 8.83 square. Give me 77.97. Okay, and I will do the same for the rest of them. 54 minus 51.17 is 2.83 raised to the second power. 2.83 square. Give me 8.0. 56 minus 51.17 give me 4.83 and then 4.83 square. That would get me 23.32. So that's step 2 and 3. I'm going to pause for question. This is what you did from last class as well. So nothing changed. It's the same thing. So you didn't. Yes.
Like putting the mean, like trying to get the mean to the calculator, the average and everything, and it keeps giving me 54.2 instead of 51.7. Like,
oh, let me check my work. Could be I could type in the wrong number. It could be. Let me check. Okay. So 50 plus. I make mistake all the time, so it's probably me make a mistake. 50 plus 60 plus 54 plus 56. Okay, so 50, 55, 50, 60, 54, 56. I would divide 2, 4, 6. Oh, you're right, it's 54.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it is 54.17. But for all the work that I have done, let's not go back and subtract 54. I'm just going to keep it, but Jaden, you are right. It should be 54.17. Okay, so I'm not going to change. Thank you. So I'm not going to change to 54 because it's all the work that I already done, but that's okay. So I'm going to highlight this one just so that we know this is a mistake right here.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wouldn't the last one be 23?
0.33? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course. Thank you. Yep. So, as you can see, it's happened, right? All right, so now I will have all of these numbers beside the mean is wrong. Everything else, those are the steps that you're supposed to do. So when you do the summative, you notice like the last time with the frequency table, even though your answer may not be correct, but I did not took up the entire thing because I figure there's so many steps, we're going to make mistakes somewhere. So I just took point off from that one mistake, and I just use that same number and follow along with everything else. So that's fine, okay? So if you make one mistake on your practice, it's okay. I'm not going to mark everything wrong, okay? All right, so let's do this. Now I will get to step 4, which is find the total. So to find the total, what I would do, I add all of these numbers together. So that's find the total, right? So I'm gonna add this. So if you have that calculator, again, like I said, I already told you ahead of time, like I would make that mistake and you want to check in with me. Just so that you know, like, okay, that is my mistake or that's Miss Nguyen make a mistake. So follow along. I'm gonna add everything that I highlight in purple together. So check my work, please. 1.37, 14.67, 1.37 plus 77.97 plus 8 plus 23.33. Okay, I got 126.71. Okay, check my work. So everything that we do in here is just the same as we've been doing for the past 2 days. Okay, nothing changed. Find the average, find the difference, square it, add all of them together. Now the difference, the one thing you're going to change is step 5, because we talk about sample standard deviation. So I have to emphasize that this is sample standard deviation. It's not the population. The one that we did the last 2 days is called population standard deviation. This one is sample standard deviation. So the difference is, if you look in here, the bottom is going to be n minus 1. So I would take the step 5, I gave you the symbol, say the sum from step number 4, divide by n minus 1. So in here, I'm going to write this down. My total is 126.71. That is from step 4. Divide by n minus 1. I'm going to ask you, what is my n? Let's go back to look at this table. What is my n? What values is n? 6, yes. So for this one is n minus 1, so you have to take 6 minus 1. So that's the difference. For the population, you don't have to minus 1. You just go ahead and divide by 6. But for this sample standard deviation, we have to minus 1. So that would be 126.71 divided by 5. So that's the difference. You don't have to memorize the equation. I want you to recognize it because I will give you this table and I will provide you the steps. So you just have to know what to do. So by looking at the notation, you know, like, okay, this means I'm going to subtract. This means I have to do it to the second power. This means I have to add them up. So you don't have to memorize the equations, but you should be able to recognize them. Like you will see this table. Your summative, you will see this table. And you just have to fill them in. Yeah?
Is it gonna show up like for example, like that says like step 2 and then it has like the equation. Like is it gonna show up like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to memorize that part. We don't have to memorize like sum over n minus 1 and all that.
No.
As long as you just know what to do.
You just know what to do. I just want you to know what to do. So I will provide you the step. Like if you look at this table, that's exactly what you see on your test. And what I'm looking for is you subtract, you raise to the second power, you add them up. So you show me what you would do. But I'm not going to ask you to write out this like step by steps like that. Like the notation, you don't have to. Okay. I just tried to make that easier for you. I think that would make it easier. I don't know if that helped. Let me know if it doesn't help you when I write out the step like this, then I won't provide the steps. But if it helped, then I would do that. Okay, so 126.71 divided by 5, that gives me 25.342, 25.342, and then I will go to step number 6, which is I'm going to take the square root of that. Square root, 2 decimal place, so that is around 5.03. Okay, so if we use the average, it's 51.1.17. That would be a different standard deviation, but I already made that mistake. So now the answer for this one right now is 5.03. So this is pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing as you would do 2 decimal place. Okay. Thank you for those asking questions. It's really useful. Kind of gave me an idea of where you are, so that's good. Questions. If you need time to copy this down, take a picture, do so. I know some of you told me that you do this on a piece of paper, you copy this on a piece of paper, and that is fine. Do that. Take a few minutes. Let me know any numbers in here that you don't like. What is that number, Miss Nguyen? How you get that number? Then I can go back and explain it to you. Okay. We good, or we need a few more minutes to copy it down? Okay, so here is a question for you. And different people would tell me different things, and I expected that. So what I would do is, for sure, I will do one more example. Okay, I can do example. Where's my practice? Okay. Here's the questions. Oh, we good? Should I move forward? Can I move to the next slide? We're gonna start, or you still need time to copy this? Okay, good. Cool. All right, let's do the next one. So this is so one of you already asked me a question about